Why do people call you the serial entrepreneur, man? It's crazy.
Because I'm just not stopping. I got people now from my family reaching out, slow down with all these new different businesses, and me, it's like, no, I need to speed up. A rocket doesn't pause before breaking out of the atmosphere, so why would I? I lost $10,000, but instead of turning away, I just kept going, where a lot of people just say, screw this business. It's led to everything that it has now, so I have no regrets. Guys, get off the fucking video games.
Yep.
Stop upgrading the character online. Upgrade yourself.
Hit him with the shit doer. The shit doer. The shit doer.
Motherfucker, I'm old, but I'm just getting started. Get drunk, turn up with a party. Oh, but I'm just getting started. Saturday, I might do a house party.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Highlight Humphrey, and welcome to No Genre, the podcast. As always, I'm kicking it with the kid, CJ Youngbrook.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode. Happy to have you. Today, we've got a banger of a guest here, Nathan Fakhouri. How we doing, my man?
Doing good,
Good
man.
to
How
see
are
you, bro.
Thank you.
Welcome out, welcome out.
What's up, baby?
Appreciate this.
So, Nate, we go way back, man. Back to Central Michigan days. Shout out Hunter Rollins.
Yep.
Connecting
Shout
the
out
two
Hunter.
of us. Yeah, the homie.
I didn't
Shout
like
out
you
to
at
our
first 'cause of
sponsors.
him.
Didn't like me at first. You had to pick a side.
I had to pick a side. Of course, I'm going to go with my boy.
Yeah, me and Hunter, we had a line drawn in the sand there for a little bit, but that's my best friend. Congratulations to him, Lily, just getting married. You know, it's been a long time coming. A cool path that we've been on. Finally able to get you out here and kind of collab on a project here. Nate is actually heading our sponsor company, Upward Spiral Media and Events, and from here on out, you're going to see a lot of content created by him and his team. It's just the beginning. We're just getting started. We're old, but we're just getting started.
We're old, but we're just getting started.
Nate, what brings you out to New York, my man?
So I was out here for work. I have an operation out here for my transportation company. Had a little issue with a manager. Had to come out, replace him, train his new manager. Gotta love how the stars aligned. This came together. I met another guy opening up another company as well. So everything's just rocking and rolling right now.
Yeah.
I love it.
The little bio here, I know, Reese, you have a defined little bio for him, but you consider yourself a serial entrepreneur.
I love that.
I fell in love with that term.
I love that.
immediately. Yeah.
Why do people call you the serial entrepreneur, man? It's crazy.
Because I'm just not stopping. I got people now from my family reaching out, slow down with all these new different businesses, and me, and it's like, no, I need to speed up. A rocket doesn't pause before breaking out of the atmosphere, so why would I? It's just been kind of having a vision behind different companies. It started with just a valet company. I was a valet attendant downtown Chicago, learned the industry. There were certain parts when I was a valet attendant, I learned firsthand that it wasn't how good you are, how organized you are at a business. Sometimes, especially in Chicago, it's how connected you are. I used to chase my boss around for thousands of dollars of payroll at a time, and he'd say he's out of town. I'd be driving through River North after my shift, and I'd find him on Hubbard counting money in his car.
Yeah, where's my money?
Put up
Hey, where's my
all
money?
Where's
my money, man?
Jack. Exactly. Started as a manager for another company and then slowly learned the industry, opened up my own venture, got screwed over for about everything I had saved, which was about $10,000. But then we started from scratch. We started with about 5 locations that I took from that old partnership that didn't work out because the guy was an Italian shark and scam artist. But it was a huge learning lesson for me. And I kept going, and now we have parking by every major stadium, to hotels, valet for Morton Steakhouse. So we're kind of spread throughout the city of Chicago.
16 other cities.
16 other cities that we launched our transportation business in. And then I started courier services as well. So I have those 3 companies. We just started a media and event company, and I'm also doing another transportation company with trucks and trailering. The difference is now is we basically send drivers to the rails and ports to pick up vehicles from whether the rail or port or from a dealership, and deliver them to the dealerships or just to another dealership or a body shop.
So how do you go from being a valet attendant to being like, I could do this myself?
Honestly, it's intention. I had a business plan drawn up before I even started as a valet attendant. It was just something, owning my own business is something I knew I wanted to do. And when I was young, I got into it, making good money on the side, making some good tips. And then I realized, hey, this is easy. This is something I can do once I mastered the business. So I knew this was just the first step for me. And for me, every business you want to get into, you want to have some kind of competitive advantage, whether you're an expert in that field or whether you have a contract per se with a big clientele to grab market share right off the bat. So yeah, it was just that, and the rest has been history. It's kind of just been compounding. Work, get a little bit better, work, get a little bit more better, and then work. And you just keep doing it, and you'll be surprised one day on how much all that pays off and all the sacrifice.
Now, Nate, would you consider yourself lucky?
I wouldn't. I said there's definitely some luck that came along, but it was more so the intention that I'd set out in my mind, and following through with that day after day. There was a lot of sacrifices. I lost a lot of friends because I got sick of living for the weekend, and more so I wanted to build something that kind of started with me at a young age, and it was for all entrepreneurs, they need to understand their why, and that's one of the biggest things that's going to propel them and build that foundation for them to build a business.
Yeah, you kind of building the blueprint for your own business while still being an attendant. Kind of, it summarizes my own theory about luck. Like, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
That was your theory?
That was my. I know you have your own theory there about luck. We can go in on luck for a second. There.
I think luck is a skill.
Yeah.
Luck is a skill, and everybody has their own sorts of ups and downs. They get lucky here, and things are going sideways sometimes. But the people that are all successful, they capitalize on the moment when they're on the upswing.
Mm-hmm. And that happens for a reason. It ain't just happenstance. Luck is a skill.
Yep. And they learn to take the good from the bad, and that's the most important part, because trust me, this is not for the faint of heart, and that's why it's really important to have a foundation, because you are going to go through those hiccups. I lost $10,000, but instead of turning away, I just kept going, where a lot of people just say, screw this business, I'm going to go elsewhere, or, focus on my degree. But I just kept going, and like I said, it's led to everything that it has now, so I have no regrets.
So if you had one trait to tell someone who wanted to be an entrepreneur, what would the most important thing be?
So it is finding your why, because I can't stress how crucial it is. I mean, why are you doing this? Why do you want to better your life? Is it for just girls? Is it for status? Is it for to be respected by your peers? Because the stronger your why, the better of a foundation you're going to have. Because like I said earlier, this is not for the faint of heart. I've questioned myself, you know what I mean? And it's very challenging in that sense when everybody's pulling you in the opposite direction, and you just need to bet on yourself, and in the end, it'll turn out good.
Okay, I got another little follow-up. So a lot of people have something that they're interested in, and especially like when you're out drinking, they have this idea that they're getting ready to run with, but there's so many of those guys that are just idea guys.
Yep.
And how do you make that transition from having an idea into actually turning it into a real thing?
To be honest, so perfect example of this is the transportation thing. We were doing drive-away transport, so I know there's a need for truckers in the industry. So I had another business plan drawn up, and while I was out here, I met a guy who has his own truck. He has a landscaping company. So it's really just kind of having the vision, and then, manifesting that, building good partnerships with like-minded brothers where we can partner, and you don't have to worry about bad deals or anybody screwing anybody, and it's building a team around you. Because when I started, obviously, you're just starting in a valet company. I didn't have all these visions, but as I grew, as my work compounded, now I have a team around me that gave me the opportunity to open up an event and media company. So it went from just a one-stop shop to me doing everything to me finally hiring help when the time came. And with that, it gives you those opportunities to pursue these other ideas. I've had a lot of ideas, but some of them just never come to fruition. But then there are those where you see the opportunity through the preparation, and then you jump on them. And that's what I've done so far. Every company I've started, I've had a competitive advantage going into it. Currently, I've scaled my 3 companies right now with $0 spent in sales and marketing. And that's my next step I just built a website and just start getting some sales and marketing behind me to see where this can take me. Truly just getting started.
It's kind of like implementing the blueprint that is kind of shown to be successful.
100%.
From people that, are kind of moving in the same direction as you, the like-minded individuals. You say brothers.
Exactly.
It's a fact.
100%.
And it brings me to a concept where, there was a coach I was working with at TC&J. Shout out Derek Caduto. He was saying the coach has the answers to the Scantron. Mm-hmm. Why are you not buying out? Just trust in the process and the fact that, what I'm telling you is going to work. And in the end, like, even if, it could be blind faith, but do the things that I'm asking you to do, because I've implemented a lot of these theories that I'm kind of implementing into you. The influence that I'm trying to make over you, I've done it. And you have the answers to the Scantron. Just believe in the process.
Yeah, I fully believe in that. When I first got to the NJRTC, I was working with Nate Jackson, who's ended up being 2-time U.S. Open champ and World Cup champ. And I told him, when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I'm right. Because for this to work, you have to believe me. And even if I'm wrong, the process of us trying to figure it out will be very successful and beneficial.
Right. It's growth in either way you look at it. Even when you do lose, there's growth.
100%.
That's a huge one, the failure.
Exactly. And that's why, like I said, going back to your why, I mean, for me, my why started at a young age, watching my dad and his failures in business. So growing up, like, he was laughed at sometimes. So that built a fire in me where I knew, and now, he's older, but I still see the regrets and kind of how it's affected his, mood and emotions, and always living in the past. So for me, I put it on myself that I needed to make up for my dad's failures through my successes, because if he failed and I didn't learn anything from that, then I feel like his failures were for nothing. Mm-hmm. So building that why, and then me becoming a father was another reason that transformed into wanting to be that guy for the next generation, the one that has the poster on the wall of the grandpa that started it all for the next generation and my kids' kids. So that's my newest motivation, and the change in my why, on why I do what I do, why I keep pursuing it, why what I have isn't enough, and I just want to keep growing to the point that I shock myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, having kids really puts things into perspective. So I had kids at a pretty young age, and if I trained harder and won more matches, there was literally more food on the table.
More food on the table.
And so it just made everything so clear cut. Like, why would I ever have something that was unhealthy because it wouldn't benefit my career, which would not benefit my kids? And it just made it so clear to me that I just started doing everything right in that moment.
I like that perspective you brought, though, too. It's for it's for your children, the future generation, but it's also for the previous generation, too. You're taking responsibility for some of the sacrifices your dad made for you to succeed.
100%.
You know, and you're putting that weight on your back, and it's only being, you know, it's a little bit more wind at the sails when you look at it that way.
100%. Don't run from stress. Don't run from adversity. That's why I'm here right now. I had a couple concussions. I was horrible speaking, slurring words, forgetting my train of thought for 60 seconds at a time. And that's why I knew I needed to do this. I spoke at an event last night. I ended up speaking for an hour, not knowing I spoke for an hour. And
I blacked out. What happened?
Yeah. They told me I spoke for an hour, and I was just like, what? How did I even speak for an hour?
Did I do it good?
Yeah, I was so nervous about what am I going to fill for 30 minutes, and then I end up going for a full hour. So it's just you need to challenge yourself. Men need to find that adversity, find the things that scare them, and chase it. Because when you're mastering failure, I mean, that's what differentiates success and failure is being able to analyze it, learn from it, and grow from it instead of, you know what I mean, just letting it eat at you and just being okay with being mediocre. I mean, nowadays, men, I mean, I don't know why anybody can't do this in the sense that if you put your mind to it and if you're just good or you stop being complacent, swallowing mediocrity in your life, and you be the guy that's constantly trying to choke while he's attempting to swallow greatness. Like that's what I live my life on. And stress is one of the best things for me because, and when I'm working on getting back in shape now, and as I'm getting my health right, the stress is just easier to deal with. And I almost embrace it because it's like, these are good problems to have. I want to have these problems. I want this challenge because I know the growth that comes from it. And you're only going to be a leader by example. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, having a son just amplifies that because you are that superhero for your son. You are the main character in the story. And like I said, guys, get off the fucking video games. Enough's enough. Yep. Stop upgrading the character online. Upgrade yourself. You know what I mean?
You got this character right here.
Exactly.
Real life character.
You got real stats in real life.
Exactly.
Get 99.
We weren't put on this earth to just sit there, live 9 to 5, and then die. You know what I mean? It's more about accomplishing more in life. You know what I mean? Every man has their own journey. It's truly amazing to see men reach their pinnacle and really understand and become a version of themselves that they didn't even know exist. And that's what I think life's about. Like, shout out to my high school football coach, Joe Pardun. One of the sayings he always said to me, he turned the program around completely. We were in 0-9 my freshman year. They just went 9-0 this year first. So shout out to him because everything he said. But his main quote with me that he told me is, man's greatest fear is the fear of failure. But it's not until they realize the bill of regret, that's when they realize how much they regret not doing the things that they should have pursued. So it's the guys that recognize the bill of regret that they're going to get if they don't pursue those things that really help them stand apart. And that's been a thing for me where it's just like I sign myself up for failure because I know that it's a learning lesson. You either win or you learn. You're only a failure if you quit.
It makes it a lot easier to lean into the stress. And I like that idea you got, leaning into the stress, doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. And public speaking is right in front of your face. It's one of the most stressful things in the world.
100%.
They did a poll on what's the thing that people are most afraid of. It goes public speaking, and then number 2 is death.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Snakes, of course.
Spiders. Public speaking.
More afraid of public speaking than you are of dying. That's
that's
pretty scary. We're talking about.
Exactly.
But like do it. Public speak and fail and like screw it up. Like, what could I have done better? You know,
exactly.
You got to be
Analyze
careful.
it.
Yeah, you got to be careful today saying, losing's okay.
Yep.
Right? It is if you're willing to learn from it
Exactly.
and take the lessons that are hidden within that failure. That'll make you better the next time that you step foot in that arena. You know?
And when you have a date on the calendar, something that's real scary, you get extra prepared. And so we've been playing with the idea of doing podcasts for a while. We've been practicing, but with your help and the team, Upward Spiral, things got real serious real quick. So we got our shit together, and now we're off and running. That's awesome. So we really appreciate you for that. And it's really cool.
No, I appreciate you guys. You guys run a great podcast, and I can't wait to keep growing with you guys.
You might be listen, we're just getting started, but I think you're the best dressed guest. Best dressed. Yeah, you got that drip going?
I had to.
The drip guy.
I was hand-me-downs my whole life. I got my first custom suit.
The bust down?
Yep. And then I just had to because of the fact that you're creating your own reality. So if we're not upgrading our lives, I upgraded my fashion. Next is my fitness. So it's really just about, because you don't want to be just great in one aspect of life. You could be a money guy, but you're horrible with relationships, and you know what I mean. You're not in shape. You want to be 95s across the board instead of 99s in certain areas. So that's my biggest focus, is aiming at my weaknesses. I'm back in the gym training again, and I will go into that story a little bit later on how I let myself get out of shape. But like I said, it's just overcoming adversity and stepping up to the plate.
But you do have the drip, though. You got the baby blue bust down. You got this, what are these called?
Pocket square.
A nice
square.
little pocket
That's
square.
that
You got
splat
the
right
watch on. Tell me about this watch.
That's that splat right there.
That's that splat. Don't worry about
Don't
it,
worry about it,
sweetheart.
sweetheart.
Don't
This
worry
watch is super sentimental to me because I actually bought it for myself.
Hit him with the shadur.
As
The shadur. The
bling,
shadur.
I bought it for myself as a college graduation gift, but it really means more betting on yourself, no matter what the doubters or no matter what anybody says. For instance, when I went into school, I knew quickly while I was in class, I was dealing with my valet business and not being able to focus. So I got to a point that I wanted to drop out. My dad was old school Arab. No, go get your doctorate. Go get your doctorate. My brother, the same thing. Don't do the business. Don't do the business. By the time I graduated, I had 2 companies. I was making over 6 figures, and I bought myself this watch. And I went to my dad and I was like, "Hey, Dad, what was the better option? Because now I'm $40K in debt, and I've grown the business so much to the point that now I hired my brother as the CFO. So the guys that told me that not to do this, now I'm able to bring him in. He's my partner. But yeah, it's great to be able to do business with my older brother, who he was graduating high school by the year I was born. So there was really huge age gap, and this was a way for us to connect and to get tighter as brothers as well.
Where do you fall in the line? You have how many siblings?
I have 4 sisters and 1 older brother.
4 sisters.
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. You're the baby.
Yep.
Yup.
They like to joke that I was a mistake, but I like to argue I was the miracle child. Number one, because my mom had 2 miscarriages before me, and you know what I mean. With the success I have going, it's the only way to flip it on its head. So
that's the one.
I like that, like bringing everybody up with you. You got your brother in there. CJ's your boy. We're working together.
Yep.
Bring everybody up. Always.
100%. I mean,
that's no ego. Always trying to lift everybody up. I like people like that.
Exactly. You got to build a team around you because you can only get so far by yourself. So do you want to be, you know what I mean, a king of a small town, or do you want to be a part of a team that can run an entire country? And that's kind of the mindset I had when I got to a certain point. I knew it actually happened when I was driving. I was down in Austin, Texas for a launch. I flew in the morning of, left the night before. I would do that for our small launches in our smaller cities. So in and out, same day, first flight in, last flight out. And I was finishing up work, but I had to rush to catch my flight because work ran a little bit late. But I also had valet payroll that was due. So I had my laptop open while I was driving, trying to get payroll in before the 6 p.m. deadline, because they would have had my head if they had to wait till Monday for pay. And then I'm going one way, and I almost go head-on collision with another car. So at that point, I was like, hey, this is great and all, like challenging yourself, but I need to do this a little bit smarter. And number 1 rule is don't die. So I realized then I needed to change some things up, especially after my history with concussions.
Yeah, there was a we're gonna get into that, I think, right next. There's one concept that I remember hearing it was Joe Rogan. Shout out Joe. You know, he was saying he didn't really understand the root cause of this jealousy of other people when they have success, that he would feel some sort of way about himself. After, you know, he thought that's under the predisposition that there's only a finite amount of success in the world to have, and that it's not a unlimited commodity. You know, just because somebody else is having success and taking things to the next level doesn't mean that you can't use that as motivation and do the same thing yourself in whatever area you want to.
Yeah,
right?
I think when there's haters like that, they're just a little bit sad about the stuff that's going on in their life. So they wish that they could have it, but since they don't want to put the work in or they can't figure it out, they just want to bring you down.
Yep. And I love those haters because why is Brady, Kobe, and Jordan the GOAT? Because they always found things that pissed them off and they used it as a fire to fuel them in their competition. So same thing. I mean, anybody that's pulled you in an opposite direction, it's just going out and proving them wrong. And it's just so satisfying when you're able to do that and be able to become a better version of yourself and accomplish things that nobody had signed up for you.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's like with social media, I used to do a lot of things like maybe like retweet this post or things like that, and I would get hated on so much, and then I started seeing everybody do it. Once I had a little bit of success, people started copying all the things that I was doing, and even if they were corny, they started to understand that those things might work, and then everybody starts copying it, and then you were hating on the thing that 100%. You're doing now.
Yeah, the purest form of flattery is imitation.
Exactly.
Replication.
Infatuation.
Inflammatories.
This is the part. This is the segment where We ramble on. And
we rhyme things that don't make sense at all. This is a brand new segment.
Okay, so when you're talking about putting all this work in, we talked about work doesn't always equal 1-to-1.
Yep.
So if you have this amount of work and you expect this to happen, you can get disappointed. But if you look at the whole body of work and understand, like you said, you don't lose, you learn. If you learn from all these different things and you just keep constantly putting in work and you know the work is good, things are going to go much better in the long run.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a risk. I mean, everything, like, perfect example is I had a guy who came to me and he's like, hey, I can help you and I'm going to do it for free. And it led to like him taking that risk and, you know, investing in me. Now I hired him. He's my partner in one of the Chicago operations that we run. So it's really like the work you put in, you want to be smart with it, but it's not 1-for-1, like you said. I mean, it's really, you're going to work, get a little bit better. Work, get a little bit more better. So it's just repeating, and shout out to Justin Waller for that. The guy always spits gold and is great for masculinity nowadays. But yeah, really it comes down to just believing in yourself, trusting in yourself, and it's compounding interest. So the more work you do, the smarter of the work you do, and living your life with intention is what takes that to the next level.
Okay, so when you're doing all this, you always have like a task, little mini goals. What's the next big dream? You got a big dream?
So it goes into my concussion story, because for me, I want to be able to help men realize their full potential. I think a lot of men are not living to the fullest that they can. Video games, society nowadays to set us up to fail. I mean, even the chemicals in our food, you know what I mean? They create these issues, you know what I mean? And then now there's prescription pills. So it just really consumes, and it holds men back from reaching their full potential. So with that, I want to start a non-for-profit around people with traumatic brain injuries, post-concussion syndrome, because that was a big challenge for me to overcome. It was a lot of my darkness, and a lot about that also played into my why. And yeah, a non-for-profit to help people avoid downward spirals that are caused from concussions, and avoid the traps that will make your situation worse. Like for me, trying to recover, I went to one of the top neurologists, and they basically said, unless I was going to sit on an island and meditate for a year, I needed to take these pills because they were the only way to help my brain. Well, those pills were Adderall, antidepressants. You know what I mean? Kids that are not knowledgeable on those things, and parents that are just so scared and they play on the fear. They're like, okay, we have to do this. And they don't know how big of a risk that is and how that creates even worse of a situation. My first concussion was in 2010, playing football. I was a sophomore up on varsity. We were playing our all-state, or our rivals, and I was on kickoff return. I was the guy in front of the kick returner and his last line of defense. So my job was to run full speed and blow up. That game, their all-state linebacker, and his job was to run full speed and blow me up. Well, by halftime, first off, growing up, my nickname in football was a suicide bomber, and the irony is I kind of lived up to the name that night. Because by halftime, it was 49-0, and my head was just, I couldn't think.
That's a lot of kickoffs.
A lot of kickoff returns. God. That was 7 full-speed collisions. I got a concussion after the first one, I'm almost sure. And this was back in 2010. Man. So the second one happened in the third quarter, or that was like the 8th one, and I didn't know where I was at. I was standing in the field looking up at the stars. They almost started to play on the other end of the field, and that's when one of the coaches, realized that I was still down there. He ran out into the field, and he's like, Nate, what are you doing? I was like, Coach, I'm out here. I got to be on punt. And he's like, you haven't been on punt all season. Get the fuck off the field. Yeah. So I went to the bench, but I only took like a week, 2 weeks off, and then I was playing again. So this was back in 2010, and it created a downward spiral for me where I really didn't know what was going on. I went from the motivated athlete that had, collegiate aspirations, constantly sneaking back into the weight room after like open lifts. During the off season, they'd kick everybody out at 4:30. I'd pretend to leave, slip a pencil in the door, go to the locker room, come back and, lift for another hour. Then I became lethargic, I wasn't wanting to lift. I didn't want to be better. I started complaining about everything. Everything was too hard. My body never felt the same. And it took me about 3-4 years to recover from that. It led to me to trying to take an attempt on my own life because I just didn't know at the time what was wrong, why I felt like this. There was nothing really in my life that would make somebody be like this. And then it was until I finally recovered that my brother was watching something on concussions, and he was like, this is exactly what happened to you, because my mindset shifted, my body changed. I was finally able to put a face to the battle that I was dealing with that I didn't know what I was dealing with at the time. Was it around the same time that you got off of the antidepressants and Adderall and all that? So I never took it. So even the first one, I think they tried to give me Zoloft. I took it for a little bit. Then I like kind of cold turkey stopped it. I had a really bad mental breakdown when that happened. And then after that, I kind of got into selling weed. I got in trouble for that. And that was kind of a wake up call for me. My brother pulled me. He's like, hey, you're going to come live with me. I started working valet. And that's kind of where I got my priorities straight, realizing how much time I had wasted the 3-4 years that I was dealing with what I was dealing with. And that led me getting into the valet industry, working, learning that, and then opening up my own company. And then fast forward to 2018, I have my transportation company, my valet company, and then I'm working at a location and I had to step out into the street to direct traffic. And some guy who had eye surgery scheduled 3 days later hits me going 25 miles an hour in his BMW.
No.
Yeah, so starting straight from scratch, you know what I mean? I finally got out of that hole, and here comes another wave of adversity. But I got through it. This time I knew who the devil was that I was facing. And I had help in like places like the Neurologic Wellness Institute. I knew to avoid certain things, and I really started focusing. But it took me 2.5 years. I put on 60, 70 pounds. I got depressed. I tried to attempt again, and it was a really dark time for me. And that's where, through the help from Neurologic Wellness Institute, I got up on my feet. Within 2.5 years, I think I was out of it. I'm still dealing with symptoms like nerve pain and different things like that, and some brain fog here and there. But it's been a blessing to be able to get through that the way I have, and finally kind of get back to where I was a lot faster the first time. And I mean, I'm just blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to be able to, you know what I mean, do what I love and keep growing at the rate I'm growing.
Talk about doing what you love. If you're going to be going into a new endeavor, does it have to be something that you love?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, if you can find it, God bless you.
I think it does.
You do. You do. I gotta love it.
I love it.
You don't gotta love it. You gotta find out that it makes money and that you have a vision to build it so that you can live a life that you love.
You gotta really tap into the why.
Exactly. Tap into the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? For me, the motivation was my father. And luckily for me, I was also very close to success. A lot of my uncles were very rich. You know what I mean? One of them had a Phantom growing up, so I was able to see what was possible in life. And then the hunger, because we didn't have that. There are some fires that were built in me when I was younger. Everybody overlooked me, just built that fire. And that's that Jordan mindset that you need to have in life. I think so many men go through life just dealing with what reality gives them and just being complacent with it. And you really can't. You need to attack life. Find things that piss you off. Use it as fuel and attack what you want to do and create a life that you want. Because I'm telling you, it's attainable. I mean, if you ask me why you can't attain this, I couldn't tell you because it's on everybody. Like I said before, man's greatest fear is the fear of failure. You really need to get over that.
Lean into it.
Get over the childhood trauma. One of the great ways I did that was, for me, it was the Bahamas. I always dreamt of those clear crystal blue waters growing up, swimming with the dolphins, doing all that stuff. And it wasn't until I was at like a networking event where one of the guys is like, well, you're 28 now, you're making money. Why aren't you living life? Because I was always the guy, sacrifice. I would never go out, never have fun because I'm really invested in my why and just completely obsessed with it in a way. And he made me put it in perspective. He's like, go live life, enjoy it. So I called my wife. I told her, hey, I booked you a flight to Miami. You're coming down, because I was in Miami at the time for work and an event. And we went to the Bahamas, and I got to experience all those things that I wanted to as a child. Swimming with the dolphins, swimming with sharks, jet skiing. Those are all first for me. It's like you just achieve those childhood dreams, you know what I mean? Break those limits that were put on you through childhood. Get over the trauma, because I know it sucks. A lot of people have bad stories. I mean, I just talked to one of the guys I do business with. His brother just passed away. He was in Ecuador and just had a heart attack and seizure, and now he just got a call that he lost his little brother. And it's just like, those situations are going to happen. And unfortunately, like, the only thing you can do is take the good out of it. The good would be, now it's on him to live his life for him and his brother. He needs to do all the things in his brother's honor and live his life through his brother. Because if he doesn't, then it's going to just destroy him. And to the fact that, you know what I mean, then there's another man that we lose. There's a big masculinity movement, and shout out to all these guys that are really calling men out on their shit and showing us the potential that we have in this world.
Would you throw Jordan Peterson into the group like that?
You don't like Jordan Peterson.
I
You
would
don't like
have.
Jordan?
If
Jay?
you asked me a month ago, I would have said yes. Jordan Peterson is definitely in that boat, like with David Goggins and all these guys. But for me, the issue with Jordan Peterson is I lost a lot of respect for him on his latest tweet where after this whole Israel, Palestine, I guess we're going to get into this. If you're naive enough to think that there's just villains and good guys in the world, I mean, you have another thing coming for you. You really need to stay silent on certain matters because we're way too advanced as a civilization to be bombing innocent children, innocent families. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, yellow, purple. It doesn't matter. Like, we're way past that. And for him to respond to the situation by, just give them hell and bomb them even more is just very naive and immature in my perspective. We need to come together more than ever. Unfortunately, our world is not run by real leaders. It's a lot of puppet, and it's time for the men to come together, for the real leaders in this world, like Joe Rogan, like Andrew Tate, like Justin Waller, like all these guys, to really come together and for us to make a world that's better for our children. Because right now I feel like we're going down a slippery slope, and you know what I mean? Things like that just make it worse. It's that mindset, and it's just like, that's the other thing is like you talked about earlier, like people get jealous of success. And like, that's another thing I want to go into is like Sean Strickland. Like I saw him just bash on Andrew for everything he's trying to do. But like, why are we bashing on people that are trying to help other people? And now he's put his goal on helping men become best versions of themselves. I've seen so many videos of men back in the gym, trying to chase fitness, trying to excel in all aspects of life because of the messages that he has. So it's just like, man, it's time to come together. Stop trying to tear each other down. There's no need for any of that. Like, why are we making the world worse when it's all of us that should be coming together, living for our families, living for the future generation, and trying to make a world that can truly excel? Whereas, I mean, we're still dropping bombs on innocent civilians like we were 60, 70 years ago. So what's really changed? Because I don't see it. It's still the same song and dance, and people are fooled by media, and it's just like, what are we doing? We're better than this.
What's the goal? For me, I've always asked this question, like, what is happiness?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what makes someone happy? I think it kind of does change for every person, but isn't the goal of life to find happiness?
I think it's to find happiness, to find a woman that supports you, that loves you unconditionally, and that will be there for you for no matter what, to raise your kids. I retired my wife as soon as we had our first kid. That was another reason of my why growing up, is I wanted to be very successful by the time I had kids, because I want to be there for my sons. I want to be, you know what I mean, there at his sporting events, and I don't want to be the absentee father that's always working, which I am now in a little bit, but he's young, so by the time he's talking, you know what I mean, that's where I hope that my success has taken me to a point that I can take off whenever I want, spend as much time with him, bring him to the office with me. Because, I mean, for me, that's the pinnacle of life, is when you're able to build that family unit, having a woman that unconditionally loves you and that supports you no matter what, and then being able to show that to your kids by leading by example, you know what I mean, and setting them up for success.
And making time for them.
I don't want to build everything I have, and then I was never there for my son, and my son, you know what I mean, whether he goes into the business, whether he doesn't. For me, that's a bigger legacy than any kind of money I can make, is raising a man that is true to his morals and that is going to chase and become the best version of himself in whatever endeavor he chooses to pursue.
What's happiness for you, Reese?
What's happiness?
Yeah.
It's a balance between all of this stuff. I don't think I do anything that I don't want to do. And so,
I don't want to
ever.
I don't want to take the trash out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy all the different side missions that we're doing, music and podcasting and adult wrestling. I really, really enjoy every second of my life. And so I feel like I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, no, I do think what I'm doing, I'm excited to wake up every day, continuing to do, push it into new realms. I think that there's there's a purpose behind a lot of the things that I involve myself in, right? Music could be self-reflection, getting that off my chest in the way that I know how. OGWC, it's bringing a sport that I respect and believe that there's a ton of value to bring to the world, and shedding a bigger light on it, and giving it the platform and getting people interested the way that I think, you know, wrestling deserves.
Because you know the benefits.
I know the benefits.
And you want to share that
of
gift of wrestling.
Yeah, and I love it.
And what real happiness is to me, the time when I'm the most happy is when I'm chasing something.
100%.
And when I was all in trying to win the Olympics, that was my everyday. It made me really happy. I had something to strive for. And then when that was over and I had to retire, I'm like, now what? And so I'm constantly looking for the next thing to chase. Yep. And I always want to shoot for the stars and reach the moon, you know? So
exactly.
Always a goal that's way too big that no one thinks can be done.
Yep.
But that's what wakes me up. And
I've
that's
said
what
that
makes
saying
me
so many times to like my friends in high school, where I just feel like they're
shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon and
shoot for the
if
stars.
you fall, shoot for the moon.
Shoot
And
for the
if
moon.
even if you
Land
fall
amongst the
short, you fall somewhere.
Land on a cloud.
It's
somewhere
surf on the
along
clouds.
stars. Yep.
Swim with the fishes.
But yeah, man, happiness is, like I said, I mean, That's why if you're struggling out there, I mean, I was, like I said, I was in a position where 2 times I attempted because I thought I was so hopeless. And if I did, I mean, I wouldn't be here today. And out of all darkness comes light. So if you're struggling out there, like, hang on, man, and just really ask yourself, have you given yourself everything? Have you given your life to be able to attain what you want to attain? Have you given it all you got? Because if you haven't, then what the fuck are you doing? Like, you shouldn't be there. I mean, trust me, I was there myself for years. I sat in a dark room. I'd sleep, you know what I mean? I never wanted to wake up in that sense where I just wanted to stay sleeping. But like I said, out of that darkness came the light. And for you guys struggling out there, just take a step back and realize, kind of create a vision for yourself and then chase that through your life every day. And that's the most difficult part, like you said from earlier. Like, work's not one-to-one. And anything that's really great and really amazing in life is going to be the hardest things to attain. So you really need to understand that going on the journey, and that's why you need to find a why that really stands true to who you are, that you can rely and push back on when you go through that adversity. Because I can't tell you the amount of people that start businesses and then they deal with adversity, and they're seeing all these crypto kids online, and it just deflates them from pursuing, you know what I mean, what they want. And it's like, sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's not profitable. You get out of the business. You're smart enough to make that decision. But sometimes you never know how close you are to getting that one contract, breaking through. There's that one meme of the guy's gold mining and one guy gives up. Right, he just has a thin wall between him and gold. Close. And it's just like...
in the buried treasure.
And I feel like men are doing that so much because of this whole instant gratification. Like, get rid of that shit, because it's not true to the world. It's not true to how we are as men. I mean, men are here to struggle, but through that struggle comes success, and that's the pinnacle.
We're here to struggle. Everybody wants to win the lottery.
Yep,
exactly. There's a meme that it reminds me of. There's some meme with entrepreneurship, and it's a chart, right? And it starts off, it's like, all right, we're off the ground. It's doing really well. Oh, we suck. We're so stupid. We're going to be rich.
Exactly.
Oh, no, and we suck again. And then it's true. It's never over until you do give up.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
it's never, you never realize, you know, what point you're going to really make it.
Yeah, and it's not for the faint of heart. That's why the why is so important. Like, I've questioned myself multiple times, like, is this the right path? Luckily, not so much these last couple of years. And like I said, I mean, I went from a point that I didn't want to wake up to now I fucking love life, and I love what's coming. And I'm truly excited to be on this path. And you know what I mean? I'm building a team around me so we can go after more ventures and more opportunities. And it's just a phenomenal experience. Every one of you guys out there can do this. You could become better versions of yourself. It's just, you need to call yourself out in your own bullshit. Cut out the distractions. Cut out the people that are not helping you, supporting you in your life. Go to work, live your life with intentions, have goals, go into something to try to master it, and then maybe open your own shop or find somebody that's a visionary, apply to them and help them and go above and beyond for them. Because people, you know what I mean, that are growing, like I said, I'm building a team around guys that have proven, and that's why I want to add them to my team, because they've proven it. I don't need to tell them, and they're going to just do things because they invest and they're truly in the process and see the vision of the company.
Yeah, it's pushing yourself. I mean, your quote of the receipt of regret that you brought up earlier, it reminds me of the way the perspective I've kind of tried to bring to life in a lot of these side missions recently is, you know, laying on my deathbed, I don't want to have any regrets.
Exactly.
I don't want to look back thinking I should have done this, should have done that. I'm going to just try and do it, everything that I can, that I have the opportunity to do so, and just run with it and just send it, you know. And that's just kind of what we're doing. The podcast is one aspect of that. The OGWC is one aspect of that. The music is one aspect of that. I don't care what anybody's saying about it, because I'm just going to be knowing that at the end of the day, I did what I felt like doing and had the opportunity to do.
100%.
And that's love.
100%.
Talk your shit. See,
don't get no shit. Reindeer man, don't get no shit about nobody.
Well, Nate, bro, you got an amazing story. It's super inspiring. It's the American dream. Went from nothing to being super successful. You were at the bottom a few times, it sounds like.
Started from the bottom.
Rock bottom. Exactly.
Yeah. Straight up to it. So, bro, we appreciate you. You're bringing us up. Thank you for the Upward Spiral Media and hooking us up with all this, dude. I really get excited about what's going on right now, and you're a huge, huge part of that. So we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, anybody that's looking for anybody that's trying to create content, needs somebody as a resource, you can hit up either myself, Reese, or Nate on Instagram. He's gonna have this company up and running, and you guys, you'll have that.
Anything you want to plug?
Nothing. I appreciate both you guys. Thank you guys for having me, and let's go after it. It's men like you that, you know what I mean, give me hope in a world where it's just like clouded with darkness, and it's up to us to spread that light. Like, just a quick story is to do that is just tales of empowering people. The other day, me and a couple buddies were working out, and you know what I mean, we're sitting in the sauna, we're doing push-ups and sit-ups, and there's an older gentleman in there. He asked us, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, well, because it creates mental barriers for you to break on a daily basis. And he like smiled, he laughed, and then we walked out. I look back in, he's doing push-ups.
He was
and
doing
sit-ups. He walks out and he tells us, you guys motivated the hell out of me.
That's awesome.
And that's what it's about.
Yes.
We ended up boxing right before that, and there was a little kid going out with his dad. And he's like, oh my God, it's so cool that those guys are boxing. We were just doing body shots. And it's just like, that's what life's about, is men, is finding men that are around you, same path, and spreading that light in a world clouded with darkness.
Awesome.
It's up from here. That's
All right,
love.
guys.
Yep.
So if you like the podcast, you can subscribe at youtube.com/highlighthumphrey, and you can follow us at No Genre.
_hyphen
Yes.
genre.
You got it. Thank you
We ain't
guys
on
so
the phone.
much for watching. Thank you, Nate. Peace, boys.
Big
out.
love.
Here's our special guest today. We have Mark McLaughlin. He is a brain surgeon by day.
I need you to give me permission to crack your head open and go move a blood vessel off your brainstem.
He's an author. All right, tell us about Cognitive Dominance, the book that you wrote.
Enhanced situational awareness that facilitates rapid and accurate decision making under stressful conditions.
No
What
one.
is your favorite period?
Overtime!
So we started a nonprofit called Trenton Youth Wrestling. What we're doing is we're teaching kids wrestling. We're giving them mentorship. We're giving them, some guidance, spending time with them.